It's the special tearing the world apart. Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 10 reactions to Dave Chapelle, Sticks and Stones. For this list, we're looking at the different reactions coming from Chappelle's peers and critics, both positive and negative. Number 10, Vice.
I thought for sure when I read that headline, I said, well, that's it for me. I'm canceled.
Vice rose to prominence as an edgy outlet that pushed the boundaries, but they had no time for Sticks and Stones. Accusing Chappelle of doubling down on, quote, misogyny and transphobia, their review came out swinging. It was all there in the headline. You can definitely skip Dave Chappelle's new Netflix special, Sticks and Stones. Writer Taylor Hosking cited Chappelle's joke in the special that anyone molested by Michael Jackson should have felt honored, as well as the comedian's jabs at the trans community.
I don't want to write these jokes, but I just can't stop.
Hosking called Chappelle's approach in Sticks and Stones a, quote, rejection of change that will end up, quote, tarnishing his own legacy.
Mama's dead.
Number 9, Netflix.
I'm just afraid of being attacked.
One of the most surprising responses in all of this is Netflix's. Throughout the furor, the streaming giant has remained silent. Reportedly, Netflix paid Chappelle $60 million as part of a 3-special deal. So they obviously have a lot riding on this. Another reason for their reticence could be the divide between critical and audience reception.
All this shit they talk about on the news about how divided the nation is, I don't believe it. I feel like nowadays we're getting a real good look at each other.
While critics savaged Sticks and Stones, earning it a miserable 35% score on Rotten Tomatoes, audiences loved it, giving it an audience score of 99%. That means that any response is sure to anger a lot of people.
Doesn't matter what I say. And if you at home watching this shit on Netflix, remember, bitch, you clicked on my face.
Number 8, The Wall Street Journal. In contrast to Vice, the venerable Wall Street Journal actually went to bat for Chappelle's takedown of cancel culture, calling him, quote, an equal opportunity offender.
Celebrity hunting season. Doesn't matter what I say, they're gonna get everybody eventually.
Writer Gerard Baker argued that the comedian's routine targets everyone, quote, the hypocrisies, inconsistencies, absurdities, and extremism in our culture. Baker admitted to feeling surprised and perhaps offended at Chappelle's jokes about white people dying from opioid abuse.
He lets out a heroin scream. Yeah.
But Baker said he could also laugh at them. The fact that the special is controversial, Baker concluded, just reflects the, quote, boringly predictable nature of modern popular culture, thanks to, in his words, quote, the vice-like grip of the liberal establishment.
And if I'm wrong, then perhaps we're wrong.
Number 7, Jerry Seinfeld and Arc Digital. Several comedians have also come out to either defend or criticize Chappelle. One of the biggest names to have gotten involved is Jerry Seinfeld, although only indirectly. In a tweet, he linked to what he referred to as, quote, an interesting article by Art Tavanna of Arc Digital. Tavanna contended that Chappelle was actually punching up, not down, by speaking for, quote, unwoke America against liberals. He likened Chappelle to George Carlin, who also ridiculed contemporary trends, as well as to a shooter in a school cafeteria, with eyewitnesses seeing him differently depending on their perspectives. To describe this comparison as unexpected is perhaps an understatement.
I told you you were right. But the way you're going about it is not going to work.
Number 6, The New York Post.
The headline said, Dave Chapelle says he wants to smash a dollhouse over Juicy Smouye's head.
While media outlets such as Vice and Arc Digital came out blasting Chappelle or his critics, the New York Post tried to dissect his appeal instead. Maureen Callahan opened her opinion piece by asking, quote, can a provocateur by nature ever go too far? She argued that Chappelle had gone too far in calling Michael Jackson's accusers liars and blaming Louis C.K.'s female victims, but that critics were overlooking his, quote, insightful thoughts on the opioid crisis and gun control.
I hate guns, personally. I can't stand them. Yeah, but I have several.
She concluded that, quote, we need transgressors to, quote, speak the unspeakable and to force us to, quote, question.
This opioid crisis is a crisis. I see it every day. It's as bad as they say. It's ruining lives, it's destroying families.
Number 5, Matt Stone. The creators of South Park, Matt Stone and Trey Parker, are no strangers to controversy themselves.
Gentlemen, that is fair.
During an interview with The Hollywood Reporter, Matt Stone threw in his 2 cents on the backlash. He said he felt bad for TV critics because, according to him, they have to criticize Chappelle's special regardless of their own personal opinions in order to keep their jobs. He wrote, quote, "When I read TV reviews or cultural reviews, I think of someone in prison writing. It might not be what they really think," he said, but just what they're obligated to publish.
That won't kill a man.
Number 4. Joel Kim Booster. One of the jokes that most offended critics was Chappelle's comparison of being trans to being transracial.
What if it did? What if I was Chinese, but born in this body? That's not funny.
Needless to say, many people thought that his impersonation of a Chinese stereotype was in poor taste.
Hey everybody, I'm Chinese!
We've seen several comedians come out to defend Chappelle, but Joel Kim Booster was not one of them. Booster said the joke made him feel, quote, old, and described the routine as, quote, kind of sad.
The rule is that no matter what you do in your artistic expression, you are never, ever allowed to upset the alphabet people.
He further went on to characterize Chappelle as, quote, someone who has been rich for a long time now and no longer has that many interesting things to say, while also adding that, quote, it's his right as a comic, I guess.
Here's another idea that's going to be very controversial. You could shut the up.
Number 3. Dan Reed. As mentioned earlier, Chappelle made several jokes about Michael Jackson's accusers, poking fun at their misfortune while defending the pop star's innocence.
I don't believe these motherfuckers. I do not believe it.
Many were appalled by Chappelle's remarks, including the director of Leaving Neverland, Dan Reed. While attending the 2019 Creative Arts Emmys, Reed told Deadline that he didn't find the comedian's jokes to be funny or clever.
Michael Jackson has been dead for 10 years, and this has 2 new cases.
The director also clarified that he doesn't want Leaving Neverland to be seen as part of cancel culture, saying, quote, there's nothing in the film that says don't listen to Michael Jackson. There's nothing in the film that says cancel MJ. We are not a part of cancel culture.
And if you haven't watched that documentary, then I'm begging you, don't watch it.
Number 2. Sarah Silverman. Considering Sarah Silverman's political position as a liberal, it was fairly surprising to see her come out and defend Chappelle. During an interview with the Los Angeles Times, Silverman brought up the topic of politics and comedy and mentioned Sticks and Stones. While admitting she didn't agree with some of the things Chappelle said, she still loved the special and found it funny, saying, quote, that's comedy, you overstep.
It sounds like something that I would say.
Silverman further went on to describe cancel culture as, quote, righteousness porn, while presenting the idea that people can change, and stating, quote, it's not very Jesus-like to just cancel people.
Hey, if you do anything wrong in your life, and I find out about it, I'm gonna try to take everything away from you.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications. Number 1. Bill Burr. As of late, Bill Burr has been speaking out to defend several comedians, including Shane Gillis, who was fired from SNL due to homophobic and racist comments. In an interview with Forbes, Burr offered strong opinions about the criticisms aimed at Chappelle. In his opinion, much of the backlash against offensive humor is, quote, ridiculous and driven by money. Outrage sells and has become another part of the news cycle.
I'm goddamn sick of it. This is the worst time ever to be a celebrity. You're gonna be finished. Everyone's doomed.
He argued that the attention and anger we direct at controversial comedians would be better directed at big businesses, such as pharmaceutical companies and banks.
Nobody's life is perfect. No matter what it looks like from the outside, you don't know what the is going on inside.
Do you agree with our picks? Check out this other recent clip from WatchMojo, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.